Friday and it's just about the end of the day. It's 5:12, and I was doing something in the Mazak over here, and I thought it might be a little exercise and make a good explanation on something, on indicating a part in the 4-jaw chuck. The way that I do it, and I think a good way to do it. So it might be interesting for people that have difficulty with this kind of a thing. And I was also looking at, and man, the subscriber count. I was looking at my phone here, and we're up to about 7,850 subscribers. 150 more, and it'll be 3,000 more subscribers for this month. I said, man, awesome. I mean, that's like, I've never even unheard of, you know. I didn't expect to do like that, but maybe this thing I said at the beginning of the year is obtainable. I don't know. I'm thinking, and I don't know if this would be a problem, but I'm thinking I'm going to start monetizing the videos. I haven't monetized any videos up to this point on my channel since I started, because it just wasn't worth it. I wasn't getting enough views, but now I'm starting to get enough views, and I want to buy some additional equipment to make some of these videos, and I think I could make a little bit of money to pay for that. So I don't know if that's going to be a problem with you guys that view these videos. I mean, if you subscribe to YouTube Red, you don't see the ads anyway. I think it's like $10 a month to subscribe to the YouTube Red. And that's what I do. I don't want to watch the ads, and it's worth it to me for the aggravation factor alone, not to have to look at them. So that's sorry, I got this camera stuck to this 55-gallon drum of coolant right here, and I kind of bumped the drum. It kind of shook the camera, shakes it. So I've been thinking about that, to do a little monetization. I think, based on my view counts now, I could make maybe $300-400 a month on advertising, maybe, you know, depending on how the views on the videos go. And I could use that to, you know, I want to buy my GoPro camera that I showed in the last video that's kind of beat up, and I'd like to get another one. I'd also like to get the latest one, because it does 240 frames a second at 1080p. Which I could, you know, you could do good slow motion shots at 240 frames. That's really good. So, and if it can really do that, you know, I'd have to experiment. But I'd like to switch over to a DSLR to do this. Like right now, I'm recording this on a Canon G7X Mark II, and I like the little camera, but it's kind of a pain. I can't focus. The manual focus is very difficult to get spot on, and it's got kind of a narrow angle of view compared to my. I have some real good Canon equipment, but the older digital cameras didn't do video too good. They've come out with newer stuff since I bought my cameras that does the video, and I'm thinking of a 6D Mark II. It's got the flip out screen. I have a 6D already, but it doesn't have. It's got this fixed screen on the back, and so you got to use a monitor and everything, and it's kind of inconvenient. And all my lenses that I have fit that style of mount. It's a full frame sensor too, and I like that because I can get a wide angle view with a well, I have a 16-35 zoom, and it gives a really nice wide angle view. And then I also have some macro lenses that would really give me nice close-up shots. And the camera can record sound in the camera, which this camera that's kind of irritating me now, you can't record sound in it. You have to do a separate thing with maybe a mic and a zoom, or a recording mic, or whatever. But it's kind of a pain in the ass. You got to sync the sound of the video and everything. And so my sound, I've gotten kind of fed up with that, so I just didn't bother. I just used the sound that came out of the camera, which isn't the best. And you know, I could use separate microphones and get you all better sound, which I would really like to do. So you know, let me know. You know, you think that monetizing is a big deal to you guys? Does it matter? I mean, everybody else pretty much does it. You know, I watched, all the other machinist YouTube guys seem to do it, so I guess it's not a problem. I don't really like to do it because ads always annoyed me, and I figured if it annoyed me, it probably annoys somebody else. And so, let me know in the comments. And watch this little video for this little thing on indicating a part in the chuck. I think it might be helpful to somebody anyway. And thanks for the new subscribers, man. Awesome, you know. And all the good comments that you guys give. And I want to do a video. I've had a lot of questions on every video. Practically I get a question about how to quote jobs, and I want to do a video on that subject. It's a little bit common sense almost, but it might be helpful. So and I get questions on it so much that maybe I should do a video on that separate subject alone. It's more of a technical video, and I'm kind of thinking it'd be kind of boring myself as a video, but people want to know about that, so I think I might do a video on that. This section of video, I intentionally underexposed it, because if you try to expose the video correctly, you can't see the dial indicator face, and I wanted to see the dial indicator face you know, when I was doing that thing with the chuck. So I intentionally underexposed it so that, and I think I've still got the same setting here now that I'm looking at it. That's a little better. And so I didn't get the glare off the indicator face. So I already know it's underexposed, so I don't need a bunch of comments on that. Maybe I can correct it a little bit in the editing software as well. So if you haven't subscribed, I noticed in the analytics that there's a lot of people that aren't subscribed to the channel that watch these videos. More people that are not subscribed are watching these videos than are. So, you know, if this is interest to you, it obviously must be, because you're watching the videos. Please subscribe. You know, it would be a help to me, but the channel. Not that I do it for views or subscriptions, but it helps if I'm gonna, you know, if I'm gonna try to monetize it and buy some equipment to make a little bit higher quality videos. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I'm having to indicate every one of these to cut a chamfer on it on the board here, because we're going to run this between centers and skim the OD concentric to the hole. But it occurred to me that this might be a good demonstration on how to indicate a part in, because I'm having to indicate every single one of these. So let's just I think I've done the first end of this part. Let me just turn it around on the jaws. Now I'm going to be already pretty close because I didn't move these two jaws here. Just want to snug it up and then bring it forward. Okay, just roughly adjust the zero and get it with the jaws, these two jaws straight up and down here. Let me move back. Well, I want you to see the indicator here. So these two jaws are roughly straight up and down. And what we're going to do is rotate 180 degrees here and see what reading we have on the indicator. We're ignoring these two jaws, just these two jaws right at the moment. See, it's about, right now we're about 11.5 thousandths. So we want to move this until we take half of that error. Here. I'm going to loosen the top jaw just a little bit. It has to come up. I'm going to tighten the bottom jaw. Now on a regular engine lathe, you would have to rotate the chuck to do this because you can't get the wrench on both sides of the chuck like I can here. But in this case I can. Now I've roughly split the difference. Now I'm going to re-zero my indicator with the x-axis here. And then I'm going to rotate back around to the other jaw. I'm ignoring the other two jaws for the moment. I want to see if I see now I roughly have a center point or a zero. So now I can go back, I can go to this jaw, pick the one that I have to tighten. It's going to be this jaw right here. And I'm just going to tighten that a little bit. And then I'm going to loosen this other one just a little bit. Tighten the top one a little bit more. I want to bring it up to that zero that I've already established. I adjusted these two jaws now so that I'm at the same zero. Now it won't be exact still, and then I'll rotate it another 180 and see I'm pretty good on my 0 point there. So the other two jaws need to be adjusted again because we moved everything a little bit in the chuck here. So I got to bring that back to zero or close to it. Got to come down, so I'll tighten the top and I'll bring it back down to zero. Now it's always the best thing if you can adjust by tightening the jaws. Sometimes, of course, sometimes you have to loosen something, you just can't get it, you tighten it and you just don't have enough stroke in the tightening part. So we'll rotate another 180. Let's see, we're just a little bit off. Our zero isn't perfectly in the center yet, but it's close. See, the other two sets of jaws now need to be adjusted. Back to zero. And now we're within less than a half a thousand. We really want to tweak this in even more. I can zero that. Must be some dirt in the hole. Indicator's jumping a little bit. But for the purpose of this, we're within less than a half a thousand off center. So that's good enough, and I'm going to cut the chamfer in here. But you see how the procedure, you concentrate on two of them. Let me zoom back out a little bit here, or move the camera out. Okay, so the procedure is you concentrate on two of the jaws, and you get a halfway point on your indicator, roughly in the center. You zero that, then you rotate around to the other two jaws, and then you center them, and you work back and forth. But if you don't try to adjust all four jaws or two of the jaws 90 degrees from each other at this, in the same time, because you lose track of what you're doing. Get two of them centered roughly, and then turn over to the other two and get them centered, and then go back and forth, and you're going to be very close. Let me do this again, but I've moved the image back a little further so we can kind of see what I'm doing. Now I've roughly zeroed the indicator on here these two sets of jaws up and down. This happens to be jaw number 1 and jaw number 3, but it doesn't matter. Any two jaws you can do this with. And then rotate so that the top jaw's down on the bottom. And look at your error on the indicator. In this case, it moved about 0.010 of an inch. So we got to bring the part up in order to bring that to the 5. I'm gonna loosen this a little bit. I'm going to tighten this one just a little, bringing that somewhere near the 5 on the dial. Okay. Then I'm going to jog the x-axis and re-zero the indicator. Then I'm going to rotate 180 degrees again. I'm not worrying about the other two jaws at this moment. Now see, I've rotated 180 and I'm pretty close to 0. So I know my 0 is relatively close. And I'm going to rotate back up to where the highest jaw, the jaw that needs to come down, so to speak, or I need to tighten it, if you will. And I'm going to tighten that a little bit. And I'm going to loosen the lower jaw here just a little. I'm trying not to go beyond my 0 point at this point. And then I'm going to tighten the top jaw again and bring it up to 0. Now I've got the other two sets of jaws roughly adjusted, but now when I rotate it, it'll be off just a little bit on the other two sets of jaws, unless I'm exceptionally lucky. It looks like I might have hit it just luckily right on the money. I mean, it's good enough for this purpose actually. But you see, the principle here is to adjust two jaws first and get you a center point between those two jaws on your indicator, and then rotate over to the other two jaws and adjust them to the same 0. And oftentimes you have to go back and forth about 2 times to get it right on. I was just lucky on this one and it just hit it right on the money the very first time.